Today, this is our new office hours. So in the past, we've called these online help sessions, but we've kind of renamed this to be office hours because we offer these office hours a little bit more privately for each one of our products, and that's our new SketchUp for Professionals course, as well as we offer office hours for Condoc tools. So within those different products, you can always go in and have access to have these questions answered, and then we do live office hours like this too. And usually the format for this, the free public office hours, is that I put on a small presentation about a recent and relevant 3D topic. So basically in light of our new course, SketchUp for Professionals, that's open on my screen here. So that's available on our menu. If you click on the menu and you can see that there's that SUFP, it's pre-launch right now, so we do offer $25 off if you order it now. We are going to have the entire thing live on Monday. So that's a good way to save a few bucks, and I promise this course, it has 9 hours of tutorials recorded in 4K, everything that you've been come to expect from what we put out. So 9 hours is for free, 100% free. Walks through Condoc and ramping up to creating a master suite project, even gets into a little bit of layout. And then you can choose to extend that course for $100, and we offer an additional 3 hours of those 4K tutorials. So we think it's a pretty strong value at just a little bit of extra money for a lot of extra content. And also you'll get exposed to all of these different resources and third-party sites like Estimator and Form Fonts and SketchUp Textures Club, all the stuff that we use on any given day. So definitely check that out. So also, you might have noticed if you got our email reminder, we do have our Move Tool blog post. So that's what I'm going to talk about today is the Move Tool. And so just give like a 10 or 15 minute presentation on, I'm just going to rattle off everything that I can think of regarding the Move Tool, because this is one of those tools that's rather difficult to master. And we've included Chapter 5 from SketchUp for Professionals. It's on YouTube, totally free. It's all on there. We've got this obstacle course that I'm going to take a lap through. You can see here on our blog post, we've got that embedded from the 3D warehouse. So I'll take a lap through that, and I'm going to set my time and make it official and see if you guys can provide some times down the road. So let's get started here. I'm going to hop over into SketchUp, and that's our obstacle course. And so basically Chapter 5 of SketchUp for Professionals, it's a self-paced tutorial. You open this file, and then we go through each one of these scene tabs and perform these different tasks, and I walk you through how to do it. So on this one, I just want to kind of do a condensed version and just maybe open your eyes to some of the possibilities of the Move Tool. So in SketchUp, let's get rolling. First thing I'm going to do is let's just have a second version of this before we explain exactly what I'm doing. This is just simple geometry, right? These are edges and surfaces, all right? So with the Move Tool, if I activate the Move Tool, it's always a good idea to right-click in the white space. If you right-click in the white space, that clears any selection. I don't know if you've ever moved something and then orbit around your model and then you realize that you've blown out the back of the model. But if you right click in the white space, that's a good idea. The Move Tool can move a point, and you can see the stickiness of geometry in 3D there. It's always better if you kind of stick on axis, like on a green axis, on a red axis. You can see what's going on there. I can always tap Escape to kill a command. So we saw how we can move a point. We can also move an edge. If I click on an edge, I can kind of move that edge around. Again, you can see that it wants to stay on that axis. If I find the other axis, I guess it's going to keep these front portions or these sides more so parallel. So that's kind of cool. I'll tap Escape to kill that. And if I hover on a surface, I can click once to pick it up and move that around too. And notice that we get a little bit of different behavior on that stickiness of geometry. I'll tap Escape there. All right, so let's see. Another thing we can do with the Move Tool is if I were to use my Offset tool, and I'm going to offset this by like 6 inches, and then I'm going to use my Move Tool and hover on this surface and click once to pick it up. And see, now as I move around, see how it's stuck on that surface? Well, if I tap Alt is called Auto Fold. what that does is it folds all of those edges for me. So you can see now that it's folded. I can kind of find the blue axis and move that up now off of that. All right. Now, if I want to kind of get this thing back in order, if I were to use my eraser tool, I'm going to delete pieces of this because those surfaces, this is not coplanar. So what I can do now is do an advanced move, a precise move. And when I say a precise move, up till now I've just been kind of moving things arbitrarily, just kind of move it here, move it there. Well, this time I want to click on a surface to make that my starting point. I'm going to move it straight down on the blue axis, and I'm even going to lock the blue axis with the up arrow key. And then I'm going to snap it to the corner to set those back to coplanar, and then I can use my eraser tool to delete that out. All right, so let's do that. With my move tool, I'll click once to pick it up. I'll tap the up arrow key, and that's going to lock my blue axis. And see how I started on this surface? Well, I can define the height by snapping to this point. And see, now we get back to good there. I can use my eraser tool, and we can delete these guys out. All right. Now, that's kind of the first of a simple inference. There's a bunch of other inferences that we can look at. So let's see, we're going to look at constrained on a line, and we're going to look at constraining on a plane, and then also, I actually forget the names of these inferences, but I know how to do them. So let's take a look. So in here, I'm going to just go with, we're going to draw a simple, we're just going to do a push-pull like this. And then I'm going to take this guy, and let's say that I want to move this object here, and I want it to be aligned. I want it to be up here, but I want it to be in line with this edge. Well, check this out. I can use my move tool, use my select tool, and I can pre-select this object. I can then use my move tool, and I can start with a precise move. So I can position my crosshairs at the bottom corner, bottom point, and click once to pick it up. Then I can hover on an edge and hold shift. If I hold shift while I'm hovering on that edge, it's constrained on a line. See how cool is that? So now I can kind of move it over there and project it. I think I can even do something like that. See how it constrained on line, intersect line? That's a super advanced inference. And it's not that you can't do it in other ways with guides or construction geometry. It's just that if you know all these inferences, you can save yourself a significant amount of clicks. All right. Let's see. Another kind of cool inference is like if, let's say I were to just have another piece out here like that. And let's say that I want for this edge, I want to make this thing slope down and kind of match this. So let's see. So one way I could do that is with my move tool, and we're going to do a copy this time. We're not going to do a copy yet. I'm going to click once to start. I'll tap the up arrow key, and look at this. If I just snap to this plane, it's constrained on line intersect plane. I'll click there, and see that is projecting down and meeting this piece here. Now I want to do the same thing here. I'll click once on the edge, so it's a precise move, tap the up arrow key, and then just put my cursor on that plane. And see, it connected that, basically made those two planes coplanar. So that's pretty slick. You can always test that by using your line tool. If you kind of connect the dots here and then pull this thing out, well, if I use my eraser tool, if these edges delete or those surfaces delete and go away, they're not coplanar, but what we did there is coplanar. Perfect. All right. Let's see. That's some of our advanced inferences. Those go on forever. I use a combination. I use a lot of guides. I just kind of like to see the guides set up before I make my moves, make any modeling operations. But certainly I use guides and inferences. And whenever you hover on something and hold shift, that's usually a good indicator that you're locking in an inference. So It's a good one to look up on the SketchUp resources too. They've got some really good videos about all of the extended inferences. And of course, on our SketchUp for Professionals, we have a ton of that as well with our inferences and with the line tool and all the other tools that use inferences as well. All right, let's take a look at, let me give you just kind of a flavor for this class. So again, this is our precise move. Just good practice on kind of going through here and moving a point to a point. Let me just make a comment though, like if I wanted to move this object around, but I only want to move it in the X and Y or the red and green directions, but not in the blue. So you watch what happens. If I just kind of move it like this, I'm not really sure, you know, like it could be going up, it could be going down. For the most part, it kind of sticks to the ground, but I'm not sure. So if I like hover on this surface and hold shift, look what happens. Constrained on plane. That means that I can only move this thing on that plane. So that's kind of handy. I mean, if we go back to our simple move, like maybe I want to just move this object. Maybe I want to move this object here only on this plane. So what I could do is hover on that plane and hold shift. And now when I move this thing, it's always going to be, you know, coplanar with where I started. I didn't move it off of that plane. All right. Let's talk about moving and copying. So with moving and copying, basically you're going to, with the move tool, it serves as several different tools. It's the move tool, it's the copy tool, it's the array tool. So to make a copy, you're going to move, you know, start the move, tap Control or Option on the Mac, and then click again to place it. So it's important though that we always keep in mind that it's really best to do precise moves. It's very rare that I'm just kind of eyeballing things and just putting them in place. I almost always want some sort of defined, I don't know, even if I'm placing a tree and I know that my sidewalks are 3 feet, I'll still throw a guide on there at 18 inches so that the trees are perfectly centered. So I just like to model in a precise way. All right, so now on this one, this move copy, so I can click on A and tap Control and snap that to point A. So in this course, we really reinforce practice. So there's B, and then there's C. So I'm tapping Control, Option on the Mac, to toggle that copy command on. And then let's go over here, and the last two we'll look at is just two quick multiply array, and a divide array. All right, so here we've got, if I make a copy, I can go from point A, click once, tap Control, and snap to point A, and then type 4x, enter. There we go. So now we got 4 times. So you can always create an array by typing a number and then X or the multiplication sign immediately after that input. So let me do that again. I'll click once to pick it up, tap Control or Option on the Mac, and click to put it down. Now I can type 7x, enter. Let me auto hide my windows. Let's see. Oh, lock the automatically hide the taskbar. I don't know why that measurements dialog box isn't showing. View, toolbars. Let's see if our measurements, there it is, that's why. All right, here's our measurements toolbox. We'll throw that down here. I'll put it up here. That's easier to see. Got something goofy going on with my windows. Okay. All right, so now you can see up here in the top right corner my measurements dialog box. That's usually in the bottom right. So again, I'll click once to pick it up, tap Control, and this time I'm going to just kind of let go of the mouse and type 5 feet, enter, and do 7x. Well, let's do 5 feet, enter, 7x, enter. There we go. All right, let's look at divide array, and then I want to give a few comments about locking axes. Let's do that. We'll do that combined here with our divide array, and then I'm going to take a lap through our move tool obstacle course. All right. So here's our move, copy, and array divide. So I'll click once to pick it up, tap Control. And just like we did when we were moving that edge straight up on the blue, I can tap the right arrow key and see that locks the red. Also keep in mind that I don't click and drag. I click once to pick it up, I move my cursor to suggest a direction. I let go of the mouse. This one, I guess I can just snap to point A like that and say 7 divided by enter. So I type in 7/enter. And that's going to fill in 7 equal divisions between those two copies. All right. I'll do that one more time. I'll do that over here. We'll say 16'6". I click once to pick it up. Tap Control. Tap the right arrow key. Let go of the mouse. I'm going to type 16'6", and then enter, and then 5 divided by enter. 16'6", enter. 5 divided by enter. There we go. All right, so keep in mind, with the move tool, it's always best, number one, to be accurate and precise. It's very rare that I'm just saying like, hey, let me just kind of scoot this into place and eyeball it. I always want to move and do a precise move from a point or to a surface, some level of precision. Keep in mind too that your inferences will always keep things aligned, and really what's going on is that we're looking at a 3D world represented on a 2D screen. So we need to eliminate one of those dimensions in order to be accurate. And so that's really what inferences are all about. And practice. Check out our course, because this is what will make you fast. In Chapter 5 on those tutorials, I take you through each one of these tasks step by step, really lay it all out, and then you get a chance to practice with this Move Tool obstacle course. So let me show you that. And here's the homework. This is right when it opens up. This is our Move Tool obstacle course. And what I suggest is in Google, if you type in stopwatch, you'll come up with this little stopwatch app. All right. So I'm going to go through this, and I'll kind of chat a little bit about what I'm doing, but I'm going to see how fast I can get through this thing, and then we'll take some questions. So be sure, if you have a specific file that you have a question about for today's Q&A, feel free to drop that in that little DB inbox right below on our event page. You can just drag your file right there, and it's going to land right inside my DB inbox here. So feel free to drag and drop a file if you have something specific that you have a question about that you're okay with me opening. And let's get started. So I'm going to hit go. And here's our obstacle course. So first things first, we're going to go from A to A, doing these precise moves. So I like to use keyboard shortcuts. They will make you infinitely faster. Also, keep in mind, you really got to navigate to those views that are strategic for what you're working on. So this kind of gets back to what we were doing before. We're making copies from a point to a point. So you can see I'm aligning like point A with point A and C with C. So the more that you practice not using those buttons over at the left-hand side of my screen, I never touch those. Those will slow you down. They'll give you a headache. Force yourself to use keyboard shortcuts. And before you know it, you'll be able to type with one hand on the keyboard. All right, so let's see, go here. Keep in mind too that the focal point of your navigation is your cursor. So if you want to get to a specific point in your model, you got to point to it with your cursor. And that one's done. All right, so now we're going to do 8 feet, 8' enter, 12 times enter. And then this one's 3 feet, and we're going to do 4x. And then we're going to do 5 feet, 7x enter. And we're going to do point A to point A, 7x. And we're going to do point A to point A, 4x, like that. All right, now on this one, I'm going to go from point A, see, and snap it there, and then say 7 divided by enter. And then this one's going to be point A, and we'll snap there and say 12 divided by enter. And then we're going to go from here to 16'6", and then we're going to do 5 divided by enter. And then this one's going to be 25 feet, and we're going to say 25 feet, enter, 9 divided by enter. And then this last one is going to be 40 feet with 20 divisions. All right, so we'll go with 40 feet, 20 divisions, like that. All right, so I landed at 2 minutes and 20 seconds. That's not a bad time. I think the first time I did this, I was at 2:45, so I've shaved 25 seconds off my time. But what I talk about in the lessons and in the homework video when I'm showing you this, we provide a homework sheet. So let me open that and show you. So it's so important with any of these tools and these different tasks that you practice. And so in the past, we've done these tutorials, we presented them online. I show you like one thing, you do it one time, and then we move on. And so this SketchUp for Professionals is all about repetition, developing that muscle memory. Even if you feel like you know these tools, I promise you'll learn something in this course. Not to mention the fact that if you practice and fill out attempts 1 through 5, I guarantee that your first attempt is going to be like mine was 2 minutes and 45, and then I'm down to 2:20. I'll bet you I could shave another 10 seconds off my time if I really practiced. So, and in doing so, you are going to ingrain this tool into your head. It's going to be yours forever. So, highly recommend checking out SketchUp for Professionals. Check out our Move tool, our course. It's on our blog, or just go straight into that SketchUp for Professionals page. And that way you're in there, you've got access to everything. The entire course launches on next Monday, and up till then we do have $25 off if you pre-order. And that's that. So check it out. Let me know what you think. So that'll wrap up the presentation side of things. I'm going to hop back over here to our chat panel.